late in football games.
But it revolves around him, does it not?
Yeah. We can't constantly do this, though.
But we are going to do it because at the end of the day, when it comes to the postseason, that's what you're going to ask yourself. You're going to sit up there with your clipboard, looking at the big screen, and you're going to talk about what he needs to do, even if you notice a bunch of deficiencies on the offensive side of the ball for Baltimore. You're going to point to what he needs to do in order to negate those things to win. You're going to do that, Dan.
But Stephen A., last week, Lamar's leading the league in completion percentage. He's leading the league in yards rushed by a quarterback. And now we're concerned. Like, you're telling me right now, late in games, in the playoffs, you're going to be concerned about can Lamar get it done or not?
In the playoffs? Absolutely.
Yes. Because you know what? Since the start of last season, the Ravens have blown 7 fourth-quarter leads. That's the most. So absolutely I'm going to be concerned. So since you're not concerned, what are your concern rate with the turnovers? He has 2 turnovers and 10 touchdown passes. So what's your concern rate when it comes to the turnovers?
I don't look at turnovers just as like a black and white thing, Shannon. I look at that one of those interceptions, like he throws 2. I sit there and say, one's bad. That turnover, the fumbles, I think 4 or 5 of them were in that torrential downpour game in both the Pittsburgh and the Colts game. So, like, for me, it's always about context. I don't have massive turnover concerns about Lamar Jackson. I don't. Like, here's my pushback to this. Do we have them about Joe Burrow?
Excuse me?
Do we have them about Joe Burrow? Because what Joe did yesterday, 2 of the most uncharacteristic turnovers that Joe Burrow's had in his NFL career, I don't have concerns about that. I don't think that's who he is or what's going to be a storyline this year.
But hold on.
Yeah. Big JTV, man. Shouts out to Dan Orlovsky for finally catching the hypocrisy from Shay and Shannon Sharpe. Not just Shay, my bad. From Stephen A. and Shay about Lamar Jackson, man. He caught him slipping. Because Stephen A. and Shannon have a different metric for Lamar Jackson. I'm not saying they hate on Lamar Jackson. I'm not saying they have anything personal or any kind of dislike for Lamar. They just put him at a crazy and almost insane standard that is unfair to Lamar Jackson and where he is in his career right now. Let me give you an example, right? If you look at the question about turnovers, right? Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson were drafted in 2018. Josh Allen, since he's been drafted, has had 91 turnovers, fumbles, interceptions. That's clearly the most out of any quarterback since 2018. Lamar has only had 61. And out of all the conversations they have about Lamar, it's always, does Lamar deserve to get his contract? Is Lamar worth the money for his contract? Should we be concerned about Lamar? That's almost always the conversation, almost on a weekly basis. And then when Lamar has an amazing game, which he has about 70, close to 80% of the time, oh, now he's the MVP. Oh, now Lamar is different. Oh my God, Lamar's amazing. He's front runner for MVP. Lamar has one bad game, right? Which was the Cleveland game. Boom. Now they're talking all this smack about him. Now they have all these concerns about him. And just like Dan Orlovsky said, Joe Burrow, in general, has had a bad season compared to how he usually plays. He's had maybe an okay season, but so far he's not had a great season. And yesterday, he got 2 interceptions. So they have all the smoke for guys like Lamar, right? But nothing really for Joe Burrow. They're quiet on Joe Burrow. Now, has Joe Burrow had long playoffs runs? Yes. Has Joe Burrow been really good at playing football? Of course. But so has Lamar. And they have all the smoke for when Lamar has a bad game, quiet as hell when Joe Burrow has a bad game. Quiet as hell when, Justin Herbert has bad games. Which Justin Herbert has had a lot of bad games this season. You know what I mean? Quiet as hell when Patrick Mahomes has almost identical stats to Russell Wilson. You know what I mean? But they have no smoke for Patrick Mahomes. This is the issue here. And I've called it out many times. Y'all need to watch my show with Unk Football every Sunday at 10:30 a.m. when we live stream about football. We talk about it. We are not biased. We try to keep things objective as much as we can. And when we are biased, we going to tell you from the jump. The issue with guys like Shannon Sharpe and Stephen A is that they have players and guys that they don't necessarily like or they have bias against. And when those guys don't play an amazing, perfect game, they have all the smoke for them. All the smoke. But when they have guys that they do like who have a bad game, it's quiet. It's quiet. So when you look at the way, Stephen A goes off on Lamar, it is pathetic. He does not have nearly as much smoke for Justin Herbert, nearly as much smoke for Josh Allen, nearly as much smoke for Joe Burrow, nearly as much smoke for all these other quote-unquote elite quarterbacks. But when it comes to Lamar, oh my God, the sun, if he don't play a perfect game, the sun is melting, he's the worst, he's not that good, he's a flop, we judge him by rings. But when it comes to a guy like Joe Burrow who's never won a ring, it ain't about rings. When it comes to Josh Allen, it ain't about rings. You know what I mean? You look at the way Stephen A goes in on Dak Prescott, it's almost as close as how he goes in on Lamar when Lamar doesn't have a quote-unquote perfect game. Let me tell you why the Ravens lost. The Ravens lost because the Cleveland front four, the defensive line, was incredible, especially in the fourth quarter. The way Myles Garrett was pressuring Lamar, the way Myles Garrett had I think it was a tackle on Lamar in third and 10 where Lamar was going to get a first down. Myles Garrett got that stop and got them to get the football back with about 2 minutes left in the game. The way Myles Garrett was dominating the line, the way the Cleveland DBs were covering the receivers, and also the fact that John Harbaugh and Todd Monken abandoned the run. Once they abandoned the run and stopped running the football to Keaton Mitchell, Gus Edwards in the fourth quarter, that gave a window for Cleveland and the Cleveland offense. Shouts out to, the Predator, Deshaun Watson, who had a perfect game-winning drive, game-winning drive. He went 7 for 7 and had a clutch run for first down. That's how Cleveland won the game. They had an amazing fourth quarter from their offense, and their D-line stopped Lamar and the Ravens' offense. That's how it went. And also the coaching mistakes of John Harbaugh, which he has been having a lot of in the fourth quarter. He abandoned the run and gave Cleveland a chance to come back in the game. If you look at the blame, I would blame Lamar for maybe 20%, maybe 30% of the loss because of that pick six, which wasn't necessarily his fault. It hit. It was swatted away by, like I said, Cleveland D linemen. Okay, swatted that ball up and gave the DBs a chance to get that pick six. Okay? Yes. Does Lamar need to fix up the fourth quarter turnovers? Absolutely. But the smoke that Shannon and Stephen A give to Lamar is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. If you looked at the interceptions that Joe Burrow had yesterday, you would clearly say, yes, that cost the Bengals the game. But you ain't going to hear that come out of Stephen A. You ain't going to hear that come out of Shannon because they unfairly judge Lamar Jackson and they are biased and they're unfair because I don't know if it's personal. I don't know if it's just whatever. They just criticize a black man more. I don't know what it is. But Dan Orlovsky has been the most objective and one of the most fair critics of Lamar. Right? So it's Colin Cowherd. These dudes have been very objective, very fair on Lamar. So has even Skip Bayless. I'm just telling you facts. And facts are facts. Shannon Sharpe and Stephen A have a personal beef or problem with Lamar Jackson. And if you watch any of their commentary on Lamar, they are quiet as hell when he's succeeding, but they are loud and obnoxious when he doesn't play a perfect game. Let me know what y'all think in the comments below, man. Ravens flock is going to be a big game on Thursday. Bengals versus Ravens. Let's see what happens, man. Check out these last videos on the end screen. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. I'm out.